Post-election, there's no control on what an incoming government could do if it manages to get itself elected. There's really no protection in the UK against us electing a Prime Minister who wants to act as a dictator. We've also had a lot of recent practical warnings, just like the States. With Brexit, organisations like Cambridge Analytica and Facebook conspiring, and it was very, very sophisticated, targeted to the individual information. Johnson and Cummings systematically removed checks and balances. We are now one of few countries in Europe that doesn't really have the right to peaceful protest. They purged the civil service. They introduced a judicial review bill. They want to reduce the power of whistleblowers. And they even went so far as proroguing Parliament to stop parliamentary scrutiny of what they were up to. There's a group called Resolute 1850, which is seeking US funding for Farage. We know somebody's funding him now because his net worth is not enough to enable you to spend £150,000 every month on Facebook advertisements. Our government currently seems to think and has said that constitutional matters are more of an issue for the second term. 99%, we set up a project on defensive constitutional reform to try to prevent what is happening today in the United States from happening in the UK in 4 years' time. There's actually something like a 40% chance of a very far-right party winning the next election, and something like Project 2025 being implemented here. There's still time to act. We could put in place protections before an election. We could control dark money in politics. We could put in control over disinformation. If you lose the idea of truth, you really are going to lose the idea of democracy. You can strengthen campaign fraud investigation and penalties, and you could disbar parties if they're egregiously breaching the rules. You could reform the voting system. Very, very importantly, you could make sure you're delivering on the promise of national renewal. If it isn't, the probability of a far-right government goes up a long way. And they should be putting in constitutional safeguards, increasing the separation of powers, undoing some of the things that Cummings was working on, constitutional protection, requiring a supermajority to overturn them, to make sure that we have an independent judiciary, independent civil service, independent academic research, and independence of regulators, in particular the Electoral Commission. We need to get the government to do them as a matter of urgency. Second term may be an illusion. If anything is urgent, this is urgent.